Hi, today I'm going to present the one of the most common algorithm while you are going to simulate some kind of biological systems or biological processes or some other applications also. Then genetic algorithm and or evolutionary algorithm, they are of potential use in all kinds of or most of the machine learning approaches. So here I'm going to introduce the basic concepts and the fundamental steps which are involved for the simulation process when you are using or you are going to use the genetic and evolutionary algorithm for achieving your goal. Mostly, it is used for different types of biological parameter optimization, but depending on your need. So, here, as I mentioned, I will be presenting an overview of the key components and the workflow. So, in general, when someone is talking about genetic algorithm or evolutionary algorithm, then you immediately need to think about what is the initial population or population size. For example, if we are talking about the gene regulatory networks, then immediately you will ask yourself how many gene regulatory networks we are supposed to simulate: 10, 20, 50, or 100. Or if you are going to simulate the cells, then how many cells you are going to simulate. So initial population you need to declare first. That is called population initialization. Then after that it comes to evaluate or generate some kind of fitness function by using some small mathematical formula. When you are going to consider the network or the cells as the best fit. And after you assign the fitness function, you go for the selection process. For example, if you have 100 cells or 100 networks of the gene regulation, then top 20% or top 30% or top 50% of the networks you are going to select based on the top fitness values. So this is called selection. Then it comes to reproduction or cloning. So if you are supposed to select the 50% of the 100 networks or the cells, then you are getting only 50 networks or the cells. That means you are reducing half of the cells. So you need to clone or reproduce the number of the cells equal to the number of initial population, so that in each iteration the number of cells or the networks must need to be the same. So, but the cloned cells or the networks will be from the best fitted network or the cells which you are selecting here. And rest of the 50% network or the cells will be discarded. Now you are going to for curve ranges. So after that, here you are going to introduce some kind of changes. For example, if you are saying that two genes are interacting at certain probabilities, then you are going to say that in case there is some kind of change or noise, then that specific kind of connection or interaction between the genes must be somehow altered. With no interaction, or if it is up-regulating the genes, then it will be down-regulating something depending on your choice. So, or depending on your goal. And after you include such things, then you go for again fitness function and this. But some people, what they do, just after selection, they allow these curve ranges. It is does not affect that much. but it is up to you when and where you are going to in, insert the changes which you are going to optimize the parameters. Now, if you want to understand these entire genetic algorithm processes and steps in the form of workflow, then you can think about starting where you need to declare or collect all the parameters of your need or requirement. Then you go for population initialization, then selection process, and then you are going to get some new population. When then after that you go for crossover and mutation, and somehow you are going to repeat the process with the reiteration process. And you may repeat them several times, hundreds times, or more than this, depending on the size of the initial population. Now, what are the applications of genetic algorithm or evolutionary algorithm? As I mentioned, it has diverse application. For example, task scheduling, medical science, financial market, manufacturing systems, mechanical engineering, vehicle routing problems, traveling salesperson or salesman problem, then wireless sensor network, image processing, data mining and clustering, neural networks, robotics and economics. And there are many more applications of genetic algorithm and evolutionary algorithm. So what are the basics of genetic algorithm? So basics are basically you try to optimize the parameters for the best outcome in, that is theoretical optimization. That means if you are, for example, if you have the gene regulatory networks with unknown parameters, now you want to get the network with some kind of best parameters in order to achieve the desired phenotypes. For that purpose, such algorithms are the most suitable algorithm, and where you can think about what kind of parameters and when you are going to change and at which rate you are going to allow the mutation, slow mutation or fast mutation. This is what you can decide by using some kind of probabilities. So here you need to think what is your goal and what kind of parameter optimization you are looking for, what are the size of the network, and what is the number of networks or population of the network or the cells. These things you need to think in the very beginning before you start writing your own code. So, as I mentioned, you need to start with and then go for initial population, fitness calculation, selection, crossover, and mutation. Then you need to think when and where you are going to terminate. But you cannot terminate until you are reaching the saturation phase of the fitness optimization process. And this will be indicated with the fitness plot. So normally, when someone is writing the simulation code, they write the code which can display the fitness function during simulation process. And that is what indicates that when and where you are going to achieve the best sets of parameters or desired parameters for your system. So the process of creating an initial population of the potential solution is called initialization. And this is what you can see here in the figure in the left side, initial generation. Or then you go for the determination of population fitness, selection, and repeat some cycles of these 5 steps. So next part, it comes to the selection. So there are a number of selection methods. The process of selecting the fittest individuals from the population for the reproduction are tournament selection, roulette wheel selection, rank selection, linear rank selection, elitist selection. So it all depends on you which will be the best. Normally, the best selection or common selection process is elitist selection or tournament selection. But as I mentioned, you can choose the selection process based on your goal of the project. Now it comes to crossover. This is very similar to the crossover in biology. So the process of combining the genetic information of two parents to generate new offspring is basically the crossover. And here you can see the parents and the children cross over here, how it comes to the children. So the mother and father, then there is crossover in the children. And here you can see the different sets of chromosomal combinations, or you can say the mutation. Here you can see what are the changes in the chromosomes after crossover in the children. Now, mutation, the process of introducing the random changes to the individual genes to maintain the genetic diversity, is basically mutation. It can be point mutation or it can be many other types of mutation. But these days, in different human diseases, there are much more different types of changes in the chromosomes. But here, I'm not going to introduce those things, but in genetic algorithm, it those things are also easily covered. So it is only you who can decide whether you are going to include mutation. So don't be fixed to with this term mutation as it is mentioned in biology, but you can also include the structural variants. You can also include the insertion deletions. You can also include the copy number alteration things for genetic algorithm implementation purpose. So the genetic algorithm is not limited to mutation. So think something globally, but these are the terms which are used in computational modeling. They are just for easy understanding, but you can simplify it in different way. So this mutation could have diverse meaning in terms of algorithm. So it is not only covering the SNPs only. It covers many different types of changes which you would like to introduce in the simulation process. So termination process, the process of ending the algorithm when a stopping criteria is met, such as a maximum number of generations or a satisfactory fitness level is reached. So that is termination process. Now, the genetic algorithm workflow, you can easily understand. It starts from initialization to selection to crossover mutation, evaluation, and termination. This is what gives you the impression of genetic algorithm workflow or evolutionary algorithm workflow. So there is only slight change or difference between genetic algorithm and evolutionary algorithm. The crossover term is missing in case of evolutionary algorithm. The rest steps remains the same. So that is the only difference between the genetic algorithm and evolutionary algorithm. So that's overall about genetic and evolutionary algorithm fundamental steps. Thank you very